what technologies will change the world in next 10, 20 years?
Well, I think it's a very difficult question for me. I mean, answers are getting...
you are in a real business,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm asking. This can be really interesting.
I can answer you maybe from my industry standpoint. And I think one of the real game changers is basically automated last mile deliveries, meaning automated vehicles. So I'm not sure about drones, but maybe drones. Okay, so when the proper regulation and the technology comes, I mean the technology is available, regulation is not, right? So that's why I think the drones is just a matter of time and a matter of regulation more than the technology itself. So I believe that in terms of food tech and delivery, definitely I think we will move into automated delivery instead of people delivery to probably a large extent at one point. I think this is going to happen. And because you asked about not next 5 years, but like 10 to 20 years, I think this is bound to happen. At one point, we are going to automate this.
Who will be the leader in this technology? What country?
Very difficult to say, but I think China. So probably, so I see them advanced. I think obviously Americans. So because
you are testing something already, or you are not testing right now?
Right now, this is too much.
Or there is no need.
So yeah. So again, we always take the following decision. So you can either create the technology of a jet engine, or you can adopt a jet engine to your plane. Okay, so you have to decide.
Or use the technology, yes.
Absolutely. So, sometimes, by the way, you have to create that technology. And sometimes you have to commercialize that technology. And I think if you look at many successful entrepreneurs, they did not invent technologies. They were very good in commercializing them. And I think in our case, for example, in Delivery Club, we invented the ops technology. We invent the dispatching algorithm. We don't buy it from anywhere. There's no way you can buy it. There's only few companies in the world who can do it efficiently. They will never sell this. So we create that. But when it comes to such, more cutting edge technologies, you always have to take a decision about how much resources do you have to invest into it, and what sort of success rate that you can have with it, and and where you should invest these resources. So when you run a business like mine, where you are actually commercially and competitively in a very challenging and dynamic environment, so we take our decisions always for the long term, with the highest chances of achieving successes. And yes, we also do certain bets, but I would say that you need to balance between commercializing versus inventing technologies. I think we are very good in operations technologies where we invent, and I think when certain technologies mature, we can commercialize them. Why should we invest, our precious investment into something that others can do and we can commercialize from them?
What if to take Russia? Quite spread country, big country, a lot of small cities, and a lot of still a big amount of cities that do not have good service. How much time it would take that even not first 100 cities, the 1,000 cities would have a good delivery service?
I would say right now 180, I'll give you with the numbers that I have. So we serve 25 minute average delivery time in 180 cities already, right? I believe that it wouldn't take more than 5 years that this service becomes available in more than 1,000 in more than 1,000 cities. I think in the next 5 years, it wouldn't be a big surprise for me if that happens, because it's not only aggregators.
Of course, it's not only a question of your because it's question of also local offline businesses and the amount of this business.
Because what really drives delivery is density. Density is multiple orders. So, it's all about in a certain city, how many needs for delivery, right? So, and we all know that, if one person picks up something and delivers in here, and the other person picks up and delivers something in here, and they are acting in a very offline fashion. But imagine that somehow there is this aggregator technology where it can actually, put things together and they become more efficient. We see that with the last mile service. So already, I think this is just the beginning of that. Think about, because we launch also last mile delivery service. So we
Last
have
what?
last mile delivery service.
Last mile.
That's one of the most exciting, initiatives that we have, and we already have some, good traction about it. So how it works is like, this is normally we have this aggregation and delivery service, right? We we aggregate vendors on our application, and then we send the courier and we deliver for them. But here's the thing: we have this courier network. And you don't want to be on Delivery Club, or you don't need to be on Delivery Club because let's say you're a small business, but you still want to use our courier because, delivering something in 25 minutes for you is pretty expensive. You don't have the technology, and you don't want to keep couriers when
And
you are
making this.
We are already offering this.
Okay.
So, and we are now offering this to the market. Actually, we are even offering this to big players.
But you're offering this because sometimes they have free time, yes?
Well, it's not sometimes. It's like we are offering this service on demand. So
it's like an addition.
Already a service, yes. And now we already planned for that. Okay. So think about the following. So
and it's efficient.
It's already efficient, yes.
I mean, profitable, this part.
Yes. So how it works is the following. So, of course, we are at the right now the beginning investment stage, but of course, it requires much less investment versus food tech or how we started food tech. Because in food tech, we have to convince the customers. Here, we don't have to convince anyone. We just have to be efficient. So, for example, right now, our last mile service provides 25-minute average delivery time to very well-known retailer chains. So, and we are very cost competitive because think about it. If you are, and we are also very cost competitive for small, medium businesses as well. Because if you don't have a lot of orders, or even if you have a lot of orders, how long does it take for you to build efficient last mile service or I told you, we have 250 people working for 2 years building these technologies. So it's gonna take huge investment. Another, I would say the analogy for that is think about it like cloud computing versus data servers. We had data servers. So we had to invest into data servers, we had certain capacity, but that business is dead now. Why? Because there's cloud computing. So I would say that we are like cloud computing of delivery. So you don't need to invest your own courier service.
And you still have this back that gives you a possibility to grow.
Absolutely. And because there's a huge network effect in here.
Yes,
we already serve the food delivery and groceries, and then you have another business. We already have the courier service. All we have to do is just predict that and plan that.
What is delivery time in Yandex? Yandex Еда. I mean, in your competitor.
Yeah. So I cannot comment on it because I think they don't publish their numbers.
Approximately, what do you think?
Well, I don't know that well. That's why I don't want to speculate about it.
Okay. I'm not really experienced in, let's say, I'm not experienced in logistic, but I know that it's quite complex. I was making quite big project in food and was a big connection with retail chains, and I think this is one of the main questions.
I think the question that is facing many of the big companies right now is where will they invest their technology resources? So because first of all, many of the big companies, let's say retailers, they are facing the following challenge, which is they have legacy systems. These legacy systems are running their stocks, their stores, and their logistics. This is already a very big legacy.
Yes.
So this needs to be modernized. That's one big aspect. Then they need to build modern customer-facing products, which needs to compete with the quality product of the aggregators or other, I would say, trendsetters or bar setters, right? So, and they need to invest into this customer product. And in addition to that, they need to invest into, if they want to do their own deliveries, they need to invest into ops technologies.
Yeah, this is possible for big retail chains, but sure not for restaurants, cafes, and so on. It's never impossible.
And even if you look at the big retailer companies, there's a big challenge because when you need to invest into all these three, this is very big investment. And most of the retailer companies, they are either public companies that report a certain level of cash flows, right? So, and they are on a more, I would say, traditional expectations.
Yes, that's why they're moving like...
Yes, and then they need to make a big investment. When they make this big investment, of course, it has 1 time or 2 times negative effect on their financial bottom line performance.
You should to be sure to make this.
And their investor base is, of course, like not necessarily, so happy with that. And I think this has become one of the, I would say, barriers generally, for the industry. And that's why I think while, if you think about aggregators, they have a different investor base. So, and it's more of a, it started as more of a venture business, and they were able to make those investments to get a bit ahead. Now in the new world, I think in the new economic environment, the expectations from both of them will be more towards cash flow. So I think the challenge that is facing the retailers is to catch up with the technology. Maybe not at the same level of aggregators, but still to provide a decent, user experience on their customer product and upgrade their legacy. And for the aggregators, is going to be to be able to financially prove themselves and prove their models, so that they require less investment from the investors, and then they become more sustainable businesses. So I think both of the parts face different challenges right now.
What will be the size of your IT team in 10 years?
Wow, that's a very, it depends on, of course, I wouldn't be able to predict, because here's the thing. What if by that time we have machines writing code? Well, right? What happens? So for example, the question that you're asking me is, what will be the operations team?
That's why I asked.
In 2 years.
It's like, what is your vision regarding? Somebody would tell that the team will grow.
Right.
Somebody would tell that, oh no, it will be a machine learning systems, and our IT team will decrease.
My expectation is probably either same or less, maybe, because I believe that by that time we will definitely have some technologies writing code. But then the question is, who's going to manage those technologies?
Yes.
So I
for the moment, the more technologies we have, the more people we should have.
More people you need to have, because
in IT.
Absolutely.
For the last 20 years, only like this.
Yeah. So that's why actually maybe you can predict it better than me. But what I see, I can give you an example in terms of our operations monitoring. So 2 years ago, we had more than, maybe at one point we were at 150 people monitoring our operations. Right now, the people monitoring our operations is close to 0.
But it's not IT people, of course.
Yeah, it's not IT people. It's
IT.
operations people.
Yes, it's operations.
Because almost all this monitoring is now automated. And then, of course, we still have some backup, and offline.
It's like support system. Support system would go less and less.
But we don't have people running operations anymore. So I think if you think from that standpoint, you would expect people to go down, because one person writes that code, and then it eliminates a lot of other physical jobs. But we also know by history that every time you launch innovation, and this was 100 years ago, or more than 100 years ago, when they invented the modern factories, they said people will go out of jobs because there are cars now. But what happened is it created new economic opportunities. It created new jobs. So I think I don't think that I'm in a position to predict it. But I don't think that more automation kills jobs. I think more automation creates new opportunities, new markets. New markets create bigger economy. Bigger economy creates new jobs. So I wouldn't be able to predict what's going to happen. But I also think that I don't think it's going to go down. So as you said, so definitely it will be much more efficient than this. Right now, I believe it's too much human involvement for writing the code. And I think at one point this code writing is going to be cracked by somebody with some solution. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest evolutions in technologies.